At this point, it's very easy to say the AI trade is very real, and there's lots of opportunity out there to be making money in stocks that are related to AI. But recently, what's been happening is traditional stocks that were winners within AI, like Nvidia, have really stalled out. That's because a new bottleneck is forming within AI, and it's not chips, it's memory. In this video, I'm gonna break down why memory and storage are so critical for AI. And I'm also gonna give you a list of companies that I believe are gonna be the top companies that benefit from this trend. And these aren't gonna be the same names you hear every single AI video. If you've watched anything AI, it's the same companies and terms over and over again. Nvidia, chips, compute, AMD. This video is going to take a pivot from that and give you the new names that you really need to focus on. So be sure to stick around until the end, where I'm going to list 3 companies and go into why I think they're going to be big winners when it comes to everything in 2026. But before we talk about stocks, let me explain to you what memory does with AI without a bunch of jargon. Think of an AI model as a very fast brain, and it has 3 key components to it that lets it complete the process. The first part is the GPU, and this is how fast the brain can think. Next is memory, and this is what the brain remembers while it's processing information and thinking. And then finally, there is storage, and this is what happens after the brain is done thinking and is no longer accessing it. It stores all that data in a separate location. If the brain is fast, but it can't access things quickly, this slows down the overall AI process. And this is why memory speed and storage speed have become such bottlenecks for AI. The chips have gotten really fast, and now we need really fast memory. For years, memory has been thought of as a commodity business. Prices go up when demand goes up, supply comes back up, and the prices come back down. But what's happened is AI has significantly accelerated the demand and allowed prices to significantly increase, benefiting all the companies that make this specific type of memory. So now we're talking about high bandwidth memory that is super fast. It needs to have insane storage so that it's 24/7 accessible, and it also needs to be big enough so that enterprises can adopt it for their AI models. And that shift in need of what memory needs to provide is causing the companies that make it to absolutely crush it. And this trend is not going away anytime soon. It was recently confirmed in TSMC's recent earnings report, where they talked about how the need for memory continues to be a key bottleneck. And this is coming from the world's leading chip manufacturer. So not only did they confirm that the AI trade is alive and well and will continue for several more years, they also confirmed that memory prices are going up. So this is a huge tailwind for the companies that I'm about to take you through that are going to benefit from these increased prices. The first company that I'm about to talk about is Micron. And Micron sits right in the middle of AI compute, as they make the memory that feeds into the GPUs. So they are one of the main companies benefiting from high bandwidth memory because they make the fast memory that AI needs to be able to access things quickly. Not all memory is created equal, and traditional memory sits much further away from the processor, but high bandwidth memory sits right next to it, and this distance being so close helps lower the latency to just milliseconds when they're able to talk to each other. And if you think about the scale of AI, even milliseconds can help translate to significantly improved AI models across the board. This fast memory allows the GPU to be able to be working longer because these GPUs are extremely expensive. And if you have slow memory, it makes them sit idle, and you don't want these expensive GPUs sitting there and doing nothing. And this is why memory is so important to the process. This isn't hype demand. This is true infrastructure demand. It is critical to have high-speed memory as part of your AI model. And you can see from a stock perspective that Micron has been rewarded for the potential that this memory has now and moving forward in the future. In 2025, Micron stock went up 240%, making it easily one of the best performers within the S&P 500. So you would think that this growth is stopping, but no, it's not. Year to date, it's still up double digits and showing that the market continues to believe that the memory swing is going to continue and it's not too late to get into the stock. The next piece of the puzzle I talked about is storage. And models need somewhere to store all of the data when they're not running. And they need tons of storage because these models take up gigantic amounts of memory. And this is where the company SanDisk comes into play. Flash and SSD memory allow AI models to load data quickly, save results, and iterate constantly. And without all of this, the models would be too slow to be useful in general. The takeaway here is for AI, speed is what makes the headlines. Storage is what makes the models useful. When you put this all together, SanDisk's story has been astronomical from a stock perspective. In 2025, they grew over 500% and easily were the best stock you could own of the S&P 500 from last year. And this story has not stopped for 2026. Already year to date, they're up over 60% from a stock perspective. So this stock has been incredible. And if you got in early last year, you have had an amazing 2025 and an amazing start to your new year. But it's important to keep in mind caution when it comes to stocks that have exploded this much, but it doesn't mean that the story is ending anytime soon. Next up is the company that addresses the third layer of enterprise scale. And not all data lives on really expensive flash memory. A lot of data lives on really low cost, massive scale storage. Some data needs to be accessed constantly, and then other data can kind of just sit there for a while. And this is why flash memory and hard drives are needed as both of the process. And it's important that we loop all of this together because this kind of completes the brain of AI of what I talked about before. This is exactly where Seagate comes into the story. As AI grows and as AI scales, the data just doesn't go away. It sits there and piles up and it needs a place to go. Think of training logs, data backups. All of this has to live somewhere. And when you're an enterprise with enormous scale, when it comes to your data, the cost to store each terabyte of your data matters. This is where Seagate comes into play, and their stock was up massively in 2025 as well. They were up 225%, benefiting right along with those other companies that I've talked about. And similar to those other companies, their rally has continued into 2026 with the stock continuing up double digits. Now that you know the three companies, this doesn't mean that memory stocks only go up. Like I mentioned before, they were a commodity and they are cyclical. So the prices of their memory will come down as supply finally catches up because of AI. But for the near-term future, the supply and demand, it continues to be very far off, and these companies will benefit. When I think about investing in AI, I'm not necessarily thinking about the companies building models off of it. I'm really focusing on companies that are building the infrastructure. And like I mentioned before, three parts are needed for AI. You need chips, you need memory, and you need storage. And this completes the infrastructure puzzle. And what we talked about with these three companies, they will benefit because they play in those final two buckets. Memory and storage are the current bottlenecks, and bottlenecks lead to pricing power. So again, AI needs chips, but there is no AI without memory. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and be sure to subscribe if you enjoy videos like this where I break down investing topics without hype and just a smart way to invest. Also, if you want more ideas for 2026, be sure to check out my video here linked at the end for my top 5 plays for the full year. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.